Okay, great. So it is 6:42 p.m. We now have quorum. And so I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the March 2026 meeting, full board meeting for Community Board 2. And to get us started, I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, Emma Smith, to do our roll call.
Thank you, Valerie. Good evening, everyone. All right, here we go. Susanna Aaron. William Benesh is absent with notification. Keen Berger. Carter Booth. Katie Bordenaro. Anita Brandt is absent with notification. Amy Brenna. Rich Cacapolo. Nina Chen. Valerie De La Rosa.
Here.
Chris Dignas. Arturo Fernandez. Mar Fitzgerald. All right. Stella Fitzgerald. Cormac Flynn. Okay. Susan Gammy. I think that might be Mr. Ma. Okay. Susan Gammy is absent with notification. David Gruber. All right. DJ Jane is absent with notification. Susan Kent. No, gotcha. Ryder Kessler. Janine Kiley. Patricia Laria is absent with notification. Janet Liff. Benjamin Listman. Ed Ma.
He's online.
Mr. Ma. Oh, there you are. Paul McDade.
Edma, yes.
Erica Olson. Thanks, Mr. Ma. I've got you. Erica Olson is absent with notification. Ryan Pape. Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono. Sean Ryan. Rocio Sands. Shirley Secunda. Edward Siegel. I think he may not be joining. Okay. Frederica Siegel. Emma Smith, present. Dr. Shirley Smith. Chenault Spence will be joining late. And there we go. Sean Sweeney. Okay. Susan Wittenberg is absent with notification. Anthony Wong. And Eugene Yu is absent with notification. And we do have quorum. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Emma. So before we go to our public session, when I'm going to turn it over to our second vice chair, Donna Raftery, to run the public session, we're first going to start out with remarks from Assemblymember Grace Lee, who is here in person.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, is this on? Yeah. They let me out of Albany early, so I thought I could come in person. So it's great to see all of you. We are in the middle of budget negotiations, so I will be up in Albany quite a bit while we are negotiating the budget. But I wanted to give you a few updates. One is that the both houses and the governor are currently negotiating a package of bills to protect New Yorkers against ICE. We've been talking a lot about New York for All. We've been talking about the MELT Act, which would require ICE agents to be able to show visible identification as well as not, prohibit them from wearing masks. I also have a bill called the ICE Contract Transparency Act. As you know, we have private companies that are engaging in contracts with ICE. Pier 40, Hudson River Park is an example of that, where they had a parking contract with ICE. There are also private companies that are leasing warehouses to ICE to turn into detention centers. So this bill would require all private companies to disclose their contracts to the Department of State. And I am actively trying to get that into the bill package that we are going to be hopefully maybe voting on next week, which would be really exciting to make sure that we can protect more New Yorkers and have the transparency we need to make sure that we're keeping people safe. Some of the highlights, we did pass our one house budget last week, and some of the highlights from that, we have utility rebate checks of up to $500 for millions of households across New York. Energy prices, of course, now oil's at $120 a barrel. We know that this is going to be an incredible cost burden for a lot of New Yorkers, whether it's their electrical utility costs, to the price of gas for their cars, to even airline flights this summer. So this will be a nice relief for New Yorkers if we can get into the final budget. We have a historic expansion of childcare to support, including the launch of 2Care, as you may know already from the mayor's announcements. We also have over $175 million that will go towards legal services for immigrants who are going through the immigration process to protect them when they go into court. And $900 million for clean water infrastructure. Senator Brian Kavanaugh and I have a bill actually to limit the levels of PFAS in drinking water in New York State. Unfortunately, the Trump administration rolled back some of the regulations that the Biden administration had put into place, protecting Americans from PFAS, but particularly in New York, we want to make sure that we have the strongest PFAS limits that we can to keep people's drinking water safe. And this affects millions of New Yorkers right now. So we're trying to get that bill done. And that investment would help to do that. Something that I've been working on for several years now and is I have been working with sexual abuse survivors up at Columbia who were abused by OBGYN Dr. Robert Haddon. And last week, I stood with their survivors protesting the university again. A few years ago, we called on Columbia to conduct an internal investigation of how for over 25 years, over 1,000 women could be sexually abused by this doctor without any kind of oversight, without any attempt to remove him from his position. And even when people knew that it was happening at Columbia. So they put out a report earlier last week of an internal investigation that they said was complete, which showed a lot of the things that we knew, that many people who were in power at the time at Columbia knew about the sexual abuse and failed to do anything about it. What's outrageous about this is that not a single person has ever has been fired as a result of this. And they allowed two professors, administrators at the university to step down, to retire. The survivors are very upset. This is not the justice and the transparency that they have been looking for. So I am working with the survivors to call on Columbia for more accountability, more transparency, and also calling on the Attorney General to investigate the university. So it's a heavy topic, but I wanted to share with you because I think it's important when there are universities, in New York City who are abusing their power and also not keeping people safe. I think it's important that we hold them accountable. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions, or I don't know if you're taking questions or not? Any questions or comments for Assemblymember Lee from board members in the room or on Zoom? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you so much, Assemblymember Lee. Okay, great. So with that, if I can have a motion to adopt the agenda. Second. Oops, I'm skipping over the public session. Great. So the agenda is adopted. Let's go to that public session led by
Okay.
Second Vice Chair Donna Raftery.
Okay, we'll go to the people in the room first, and then we'll go to the people online. So first up, I have Lois Rockoff, followed by Brandon Zwagerman, followed by Andrew Chen.
Hi, I'm speaking to you as the can you hear me? As the community director of the Edgar Allan Poe Room at NYU. This is Dorothy Slater. She is the liaison for me. And what's Jen's last name? Jenny. Okay, and I want to bring to your attention, now I have flyers, and you could pick them up or I'll give them to you. This is a free and open to the public event. We're going to, it's at 245 Sullivan Street at Furman Hall at NYU Law School. And I asked, and with the help of Dorothy Slater, that I wanted to, this is not about Women's Month, Women's History, because every day is Women's History, as far as I'm concerned. And I asked Dorothy to get a historian, and we interviewed the historian. His name is Roger McCormick, Director of Education at the Bronx County Historical Society. And I asked him to please delve into Virginia Poe, his wife, because Edgar Allan Poe went gallivanting around in this neighborhood to salons, and women swooned when they saw him. However, he stuck Virginia up there in the Bronx cottage, and he stuck his mother-in-law up there. And I asked the historian to please delve into Virginia's life, maybe her childhood, her education, her relationship with Edgar Allan Poe, and the family and her mother, because Annabel Lee, the poem that we all know, is written about about Virginia Poe. And it's supposed to be, and we'll find out, that it's Annabel Lee by the sea, and the sea is supposed to be the Bronx River. So we're going to delve into that. This is free. The program is from 6 to
2 minutes,
7.
Lois.
And then we have a beautiful reception in the Poe Room from 7 to 8 with free eats and drinks. Everyone is welcome. Please RSVP. Okay.
Next up, Brandon Swigerman.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Zwagerman. Hang on. Oh. That better?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Brandon Zwagerman. I'm the Deputy Director at the Soho Broadway Initiative. We're the neighborhood-focused business improvement district along Broadway between Houston Street and Canal Street in Soho. I haven't personally been to one of the full board meetings in quite some time, but you may remember our colleague, former colleague Megan, who used to come to these every month, and I believe our Executive Director Aaron Piskopink was here last month. But just wanted to bring my greetings. My main announcement is we've recently hired a new field operations and engagement manager named Brian Kirk, who has been on the job for just over a month with us. He's really been focusing on a number of the key initiatives Megan used to work on, dealing with quality of life issues on the streets that our residents really care a lot about. So he's been sending vending operations and violation reports to DSNY, flagging issues to the local precincts as well as other agencies. He's successfully gotten a few illegally located vendors to move to legal locations. He's been able to get the Department of Sanitation to come through for a few enforcement operations last week. He's also been working closely with our clean team who does sanitation in the district, especially in the aftermath of the recent snowstorms. He's been doing great working on issues like those, as well as things like clogged drains with the Department of Environmental Protection, and educating some of our new retail tenants about proper set-out rules and the requirement for private carters. So we're really happy to have him. He'll be coming to these meetings in a few months, every month. He just has an ongoing standing conflict on Thursday evenings right now, but he has been going to the district service cabinet meetings that Mark Diller holds every month as well. So he's been working with CB2 already, but very happy to have him there. And I just wanted to bring my greetings from the bid. Come talk to me. I'll be sitting over in the back. Glad to be here. Thank you. Yeah.
Right here, right here.
Hi, I'm Janine Kiley, Chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee. I understand the Soho bid is doing a traffic study on Broadway in conjunction with Canal. Can you share some of your observations with that and then share it with the board?
Sure. Yeah, I don't want to share too much because I don't have data in front of me. But our board thought it was prudent to hire a traffic engineer and planner just to do an independent review to see if the proposed changes to Canal Street DOT is proposing might have any potential impacts on our district, even though our district only touches Canal just at 2 properties at Broadway. Based on that initial review, we're putting together some comments to send to DOT. We didn't see, at least based on the data available, any major impacts on traffic congestion further up into the neighborhood due to the potential left turn bans at West Broadway and I think it's Green Street that are part of the plan. There are some concerns about potential double parking that could happen along Canal if the parking is removed and the sidewalk extensions are added on Broadway, so that could have upstream concerns as well as potential issues where vehicles might park or load in other locations if they can't park on Canal. So those are some of the high-level things we found so far, but we're working on putting together some comments to DOT.
Could you share those comments with CB2 as well?
Yep,
Thank
we're
you.
planning on CCing you. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Can you give us the traffic engineer that you hired?
T.Y. Lin, they used to be Sam Schwartz. Yep. T.Y. Lin.
Okay, next up is Andrew Chen.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So, well, thank you for the thorough work that CB2 and the SLA committee do in terms of protecting residential tenants.
Sir, I'm going to need you to move much closer to the mic, please.
Oh, okay.
Bend it, you can bend it down and you can also turn the dial in the middle to lower it. There, oh, oh,
Okay. Don't want to break it. Okay. Is it okay now? Closer. How about now? Okay, great. Okay, so thank you for the thorough work that CB2 and the SLA committee does in terms of protecting residential tenants. I reviewed the SLA licensing committee proposed resolution for IACUS Corp. DBA Old Fashioned Cafe's proposed alteration to their SLA license, and I have concern regarding the scope of the smoking provision in the stipulation. As a longtime resident across the street from the bar, I have suffered from smoke drifting into my apartment from the staff at this bar, regularly smoking near the entrance of my building. I work from home. I'm very sensitive to smoke, and I develop migraines from the smoke that comes in, in addition to, of course, the long-term cancer risks from secondhand smoke. Last night, one of their staff was actually smoking for around an hour, and sometimes they do so for multiple hours. So the stipulation, based off of the draft resolution, says that it requires the bar staff to stop smoking by the staff and the patrons of the bar, quote, on the sidewalk in front of adjacent properties. And it seems to me it's very unclear if adjacent includes properties across the street. So based off of, what's been happening to me and my health concerns, as well as, my co-residents and other residents in the area, I believe it is imperative that the stipulation explicitly prohibit the staff and ideally also patrons from smoking on the sidewalk across the street. Based off of the staff's of this bar's behavior, they don't consider
10 seconds.
the adjacent properties to include properties across the street. I believe the board would agree they need to demonstrate compliance to deserve the benefit of the doubt that they will comply with the stipulations, and their actions show that an explicit ban is needed to get them to hopefully comply. My concern is that row bed seating will probably increase the smoking across the street as well. So in short,
Wrap it up.
the conclusion is I think the IACUS Corp can and should stop its staff from smoking on the sidewalk across the street.
Okay.
And the stipulation should require that. And I think
Okay.
it should probably include also patrons.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to,
Question.
go ahead. Sorry, Katie. IACUS 110 Thompson Street Old Fashioned Cafe. Okay. All right, so next up, we're going to go online. We have Ann Hager, Bobby Score, and Andrew Berman, if they could be raised.
I don't see Ann Hager. What was the second one?
Andrew Berman and Bobby Score,
Yeah, okay.
Robert Score.
Got Robert Score.
And Andrew Berman has his hand up.
Yep, I got him too.
Robert?
Yes, hi, thank you. My name is Robert Score. I've been a resident of Greenwich Village for over 30 years. I live at 15 East 10th Street, and my concern today, and has been for many years actually, is the condition of the PBA building. I'm sorry, the PAL building on 12th Street off of University Place. It's a beautiful, architecturally beautiful building in extreme disrepair. And the scaffolding has been in front of that building for probably 20 years. In the past, I've dealt with the past Manhattan Borough President Levine's office about it. And I did get some information from that office, and it seems that it is actually cheaper to pay the fines for the disrepair and the scaffolding than it is to repair the building. I also today was in touch with Council Member Epstein's office, and they are looking into the situation. I would greatly appreciate all the support from the community board in regards to this building, which could be quite a jewel, not only for the neighborhood, but in my opinion, the entire borough of Manhattan. It's, as I said, it's a beautiful looking building that is in extreme disrepair and is just a disgrace to the neighborhood and to Manhattan. It would be a shame if this building would have to be demolished due to the condition. So I'm just asking the community board to be aware of this. I'm sure you are. And that if there's anything that the community board can do to try to improve this situation, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Berman.
Thanks very much. I'm Andrew Berman, speaking on behalf of Village Preservation. I want to speak in support of the resolution of the Landmarks Committee regarding 34.5 East 12th Street. Strongly support the resolution and thank them for considering this issue, which Village Preservation brought before the board. This incredibly historically significant city-owned building, constructed as the first school for girls in New York City, has sat neglected and deteriorating for far too long. We must call upon the city to finally repair and restore it, and we must have a conversation about the best use for its future, given the inability of the current occupants to use it productively or keep it in a state of good repair for nearly 20 years. So thank you for that. I also want to briefly address 388 Hudson Street, which there's a report on from the Land Use Committee. And I want to say that the proposed 400-foot tall building doesn't have to be so tall and out of scale. The design doesn't have to be so ludicrously out of context for the area, and the building doesn't have to be so big if we preserve the Tony D'Appolito Recreation Center and maintain the facilities there. And there have to be answers regarding why the chosen developer appears on the public advocates list of the 100 worst landlords in New York City for over 1,000 HPD violations and evicting dozens of tenants. Finally, HPD has still provided no details on the nature of their agreements with the developer to guarantee the permanence of the affordable housing in the project. Given their track record, we will not simply trust them to say that it will accomplish this without being able to scrutinize the details, and neither should the community board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and then next we have Leonard. Okay. Need a microphone.
Okay, thank you.
You actually to have a microphone.
No? Okay. Okay. Are these two speakers talking about the same building on 12th Street, or are these two separate buildings?
Same building.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, next up is Leonard Cohen.
Thank you. And good evening. Well, my name is Leonard Cohen. Not the musician. I'm a Manhattan lawyer. I have lived in the same building, 67 East 11th Street, since going back to 99. Contributing member, I'll say, to society in the neighborhood around me, patronizing local businesses, etc., for 27 years. I'll get to what I'm speaking about. I have a dog named Ramy for 7 years, since 2019. Now, here I'll come to the point, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to join and echo many of the dog owner neighbors to implore this board for permission for our dogs to be dogs. This pertains, meaning allowing them a natural environment. Latitude for no leash hours, pre 9 a.m., limited to one designated specific grass field in the northwest of Washington Square Park. Whether this would either take shape as amending rules or within the lawful exercise of discretion by park rangers, by declining or suspending to enforce such on-leash requirements for only short duration of set time in only one place. The history of off-leash use in the area, well, in some of these fields, it illustrates the need. Let me explain what I mean. I first came upon one of the grass areas, initially afraid to take him as a puppy to the dog park. Young dog, then he was non-neutered. Reputedly, there are aggressive dogs at the dog park. Found refuge in this dog off-leash grass area, and I found it necessary, hardly luxury play space for his development. And alternatively, it's really walks on cement and back home. It's what I feel. It's how I answer the question: how can you live
Please
in
wrap
Manhattan
it up.
with a dog and give them the life that they need? Well, a park. There should be a park for everyone. There's accountability here. This is a measure of
You need to
affordability.
wrap it up, please.
Okay, well, just as any parent with responsibility, parents, children, bikers, well, I mean, you have accountable people who, I'll say, okay, I'll wrap it
Thank
up.
you.
I'll wrap it up this way. Let me wrap it up this way, okay? We don't always make it to your community board meetings, but we're not going to go away. We've been a
Okay.
presence. You don't want.
That's it. That's it. Okay, I think that concludes our public session. Yep, that is it. Hand it back over to our chair, Valerie.
Thank you so much. Since we already adopted the agenda, we will go to reports to the public from elected officials, so we can have the reps that are here in the room just come up to the front. Hey, Sharif.
Hey everyone, I'm Sharif Krapti. Can you closer? All right, Susan's giving me the closer signal. Sharif Krapti, Community Affairs Liaison with State Senator Brian Kavanaugh. Good to be back. Sorry I missed last month. I broke my streak. But my colleague Dan Byers did a great job. Just wanted to cover some quick community updates and go over some legislative updates. You already heard from the Assembly member earlier on some of these, but on the community side, our team held mobile office hours last Wednesday on the Lower East Side at Land's End 2. We're going to have another mobile office hours coming up next Wednesday at University Settlement on Eldridge Street from 3 to 6 p.m. We also have a tax preparation event with Nazareth Housing on April 2nd, 3 to 6 p.m. as well. And then finally, we're going to have a mobile legal clinic with the New York Legal Assistance Group, NILAG, on April 17th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in front of the Manny Cantor Center. So just wanted to plug those events coming up. Brian Pape, I know you asked me in January about a shredding event. I'm sorry to report that the sanitation department is booked up on shredders all until the summer. I did check on it, I did follow up, but I think some of my colleagues have some events planned that are coming up that you might enjoy. Yeah, see, exactly. They got flyers. So just letting you know, I didn't forget. We care about shredding. And then some legislative updates. Again, you already heard from Assemblymember Lee. We have that bill with her that passed the Senate around PFAS. Some budget updates is that the one House proposals from the Senate and the Assembly were both passed on March 10th. Those are submitted, so now we're in negotiations with the governor. The budget's due April 1st. Some of the main highlights on our end are SCREE, DREE, SHE and D, the rent freeze programs, the homeowner exemption programs for seniors and disabled people. We're trying to get those income thresholds to 75K, and we're working to try and do that in the budget with the governor. We also are trying to codify the homeowner protection program, HOP, and so we just passed that bill in the Senate actually this week. And then the last thing is just the Housing Access Voucher Program officially launched earlier this month. We already have 125 vouchers that have already been issued in this program. This is really key, and we're trying to get 250 million annually in this budget to help build out that program and actually make it sustainable going forward, especially with the federal cuts. So those are all of my updates. Happy to take any questions.
Do you have any questions from board members on Zoom or in the room? Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, I'm Monica from Councilmember Epstein's office. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to try and be as quick as possible. So this was a really busy week for the council member. For his first time, actually, yeah, as an elected official, we went before the Landmarks Preservation Commission twice about two separate issues. First, about 375 Lafayette, where we elevated the concerns that we've heard from this board about the building, which is in NoHo, about the bulk and just opposing it overall. We submitted written testimony. The second time was last week. The council member went and testified about the Merchants Museum, urging the city to acquire it with eminent domain due to its historical significance. Another exciting thing that happened in the council this week is we had our first convening of the Animal Welfare Caucus, which is a brand new caucus that was created, and the council member is very excited about it to get some more progressive legislation to protect our pets. The last thing that we want to discuss is there's been a lot of back and forth about the outdoor dining bill, and I've spoken with a lot of members of this board about their concerns surrounding outdoor dining. It's an issue that we're prioritizing, and we want you to continue to reach out to our office with your concerns about the bill, with your thoughts. Every single time a constituent reaches out, it gets logged, and we weigh it in the decisions that the council member makes. So please reach out to me, reach out to anyone from the office if you have thoughts on this bill, so we can continue to make the edits before it proceeds. And I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah.
You're gonna have to come to me a little bit.
Arturo?
Yes, thanks for the thanks.
Mhm.
Thanks for the update. What's the timeline looking like for the outdoor dining bill? I know I've spoken to some community members and they had a hearing Tuesday a week ago, and I think they thought that there was no more time to comment. So what's that timeline looking like?
That's a really good question. I can't actually speak to the specifics for this bill on the legislative process. Our legislative director's information is on the back of this, should be in one of these packets. I'm also happy to give it to you. I do know that the council member said to me today to remind the board that we're still taking feedback on the bill. Yes, there was a hearing where we actually encouraged members of the boards, all community boards where this is an issue, to attend. And honestly, my understanding is that just give us your thoughts as soon as you can.
Lois? Can we get Lois a microphone? Could someone help?
There's one in the front.
Regarding the outdoor dining, does this pertain to all year road bed dining and sidewalk cafe dining?
Yeah, so the bill is, I know that our legislative team is going back and forth with the sponsors team on a somewhat regular basis with their edits. I can't speak to the most updated version, but I know that it is about outdoor. Yes, I think it's about both.
Because outdoor dining is a generic term.
I completely
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, I hear you. Yes, I believe it pertains to both, but I am happy to check for you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Are there any other questions for Monica in Councilmember Epstein's office from board members in the room or on Zoom? Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Lane Stone from Assemblymember Glick's office. Nice to see you all. Yeah, Assemblymember Glick is, busy up in Albany. We're in budget season. I know Assemblymember Lee already said that, Sharif said that, but yeah. One legislative update on March 10th, Assemblymember Glick's bill passed to protect state lands and wildlife management areas from new oil and gas development, drilling, and while ensuring that existing leases cannot expand and must end when they expire. So, part of our environmental work. And then just some quick updates within the community as Brian modeled for us. Our shred event is coming up. This is Assembly Members Glick's last ever shred event. So please, if you have things to shred, come over. It will be on April 9th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the NYC AIDS Memorial Park. And we have flyers up in front and also in the board report. So yeah, and you can always call our office to ask for the details. So hope to see you there. And then lastly, just to echo Monica, we're very excited that the Merchants House Museum has been identified as an Underground Railroad site, and we're working with our colleagues in government to protect it. As we all know, a development is proposed on the adjacent wall that can threaten, the stability of the Merchants House Museum. So that's very top of mind for the Assembly member, and making sure we're, protecting the building. But yeah, thanks so much. That's all.
Thank you. And do we have anyone have any questions for Lane from Assemblymember Glick's office? Any board members in the room or on Zoom have questions or comments? Okay, thanks, Lane.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Connor from Councilmember Christopher Marty's office. I'll say happy St. Patrick's Day, Eid Mubarak, happy Passover, happy beginning of March Madness also. Most important of all to all who celebrate. So a couple updates. At the beginning of the month, we had a hearing on our bill to create more bilingual street signs. Like I mentioned last month, we received great testimony from community groups in Chinatown, from immigrant advocacy organizations. We're in conversations with DOT to find ways forward with the legislation. So we're very excited to see that move forward, hopefully enact a program soon. At the same hearing, as has been mentioned, the council heard testimony on Councilmember Ressler's bill to make outdoor dining permanent year-round. Also, to clarify, the Sidewalk Cafe program is already year-round. It's just to make the roadway also year-round. And also, I think that the bill, we don't know the status of the bill. We have a stated meeting next Thursday. I don't think the agenda has not been finalized, but it could be voted on, I believe, next Thursday. And if not next Thursday, then the next stated is like 3 weeks later. So it's maybe at the end of this month or next month. But thank you to everyone who signed up to testify. Like Monica mentioned, Councilmember Epstein's office and our office have been working with folks to try to advocate for more substantial edits to address some of the outstanding issues that we all experience with the outdoor dining program, including fire access, clear path and ADA access, stipulation enforcement, and accuracy of approved designs and density of permits, like all things that can be improved in the process while we're looking at the legislation again. So we're hopeful that some of those things can be adopted. I'll just say that participatory budgeting is starting next month. Voting period begins April 11th, that might have been mentioned. And then lastly, at the end of last month, we held a press conference with members of the community board, Village Preservation, around 139 Thompson Street and the application to demolish it. The rally was really great. We sent our letter to LPC, and the application's been taken off the calendar twice since that happened. So we feel like there's some good pressure, and we're hoping that there's no opportunity to save that building from unnecessary demolition. So, and just if I could add, the council member is chair of subcommittee on landmarks. We have an upcoming budget hearing, and the budget hearings are always good opportunities to just ask general questions to the respective agencies that you have oversight over. So we're hoping to ask a lot of pointed questions to LPC around things like demolition by neglect. Also, how landmarking rates have gone down very significantly over the last couple of administrations. and some of their priorities for the coming year. So, that's it. Katie?
I see Katie has her hand. Can we get Katie a microphone?
Cormac, somebody pass.
In terms of the outdoor dining, as a member of the SLA committee and also as a member of the public, I think whatever you can do to emphasize enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't know how many 311 complaints I've made about multiple complaints about one or two, establishments that are never corrected.
Right.
So over a period of, a year or more. So enforcement.
Yes. Yeah, that is a big, that's obviously, a huge issue, we know, and it's hard. Even when you have the laws in place and the requirements, just actually getting them to follow them is a big part of that. I'll say one thing we recommended is including language, and we actually did line edits in the code section itself. So we're trying to be really helpful in just getting it to that point, making it a feasible change. But it's getting enforcement backing the stipulations that community boards like yourself implement the same way that you have that, like has been mentioned today with SLA, and giving it actually a little bit of teeth so that some of those stipulations, if they're not adhered to, there can actually be penalties for that that get enforced by DOT.
Could I have a follow-up on that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Katie?
It's not just enforcement of the stipulations, it's enforcement of the rules.
Yes.
I'm talking about places that have their, insist on putting tables in the amenity, zone, which is totally forbidden. That's not even in the stipulations because it's given that they shouldn't be there. So the two sides of enforcement. So
Yeah,
just one,
definitely.
thank you.
Yeah, that's.
And I would,
Yep.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, we totally know that enforcement's like the #1 issue, and we don't want to just write more rules if no one's following them. So a lot of it is also holding DOT accountable to actually enforcing those rules, making sure that they do that job as well. That's also why we were like fans of shifting it back to DCWP, because we think they did a better job. But I don't think that's going to happen. But a big part of this is just holding DOT accountable.
I'd just like to quickly add to that in the pre-pandemic program, enforcement really wasn't an issue. It really starts at the beginning of that application process, which is something that we have advocated for, of starting out with a good site plan. And that cascades to where the enforcement is not. So it's really about that pre-enforcement.
We also, one of the things is making the site plans enforceable as well. So like they draw up a design, they send it to DOT, but in the same way that you have DOB permits signed off by a professional, like an architect or an engineer, we're requiring something. It doesn't have to be to that extent, right? But something, putting someone with a license, a relevant license, as a part of the application to say, this is valid and this will be adhered to. And then if they don't, then their license is at risk, just giving it a little bit more teeth.
Cormac.
Yeah. Whoa, sorry. Yeah, I just had a couple of things to add on enforcement as to what Katie said. I recognize, I understand her frustration about you call 311, you call nothing ever happens. I also just want to, since you're talking about revisions and enforcement things, just put out there, I think that enforcement should take place whether somebody calls 311 or not. Like, I mean, if there are rules, city regulations around this, and we all know there are about footprints, there should be regular enforcement going on. It shouldn't be on the hard-pressed, hard-working residents to constantly be calling and things in order to get their city to enforce its own rules.
Right.
A. B, with all due respect to the chair, I understand how important that sort of pre-enforcement, thing is, but it isn't just that. I have had shop owners and things tell me, I've talked to them about the fact that the thing Katie talking about, things just being in the amenity zone. They say, well, DOT doesn't tell us to change. They come and say it's okay. Or they come and say, well, you're not supposed to do that. Take care of it, but they don't do anything. There's no actual bite or teeth. Yeah. And they have even also told me, and even if they find me, it's just a cost of doing business. I recognize there have been some complaints about the fine levels because maybe some of the restaurants and things, it's a lot of money based on their margins. But in this neighborhood, you also have a lot of restaurants and restaurateurs that are very highly capitalized, run by people who made a lot of money on Wall Street and things. They don't give a goddamn about what they consider piddling fines and their scofflaws. So enforcement has a lot of dimensions here.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely. I mean, it's very complicated. I think the community board plays a role in that, in flagging those issues. Obviously, we don't want everything to fall into 311, but it is very helpful. You shouldn't have to file like a dozen 311 complaints to get something addressed, obviously, but the insight from the community is always really helpful in these situations. And I would say things like this, I think that the council's oversight over sidewalk cafes is somewhat helpful to like single out bad actors. You know, there's a lot of different levels to this, but yeah, like, I mean, the point of us revisiting the legislation is to try to not just like focus on, you know, ways that we want to expand the program, but refine it based on what issues we've experienced up to this point, because we've had like 5 years of experience now.
Is it a question or? Okay,
All right. Anything else?
great, thanks.
Thank you.
Next, I'm gonna call on online, Wesley.
Trying to promote him, but he's not accepting.
Okay, Wesley, we would love to hear your report, so we need you to speak
Here he comes.
or accept something. So Wesley is from Congressman Dan Goldman's office.
Hello. Hi, can anyone hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I apologize for not being there in person. Carlo is away and I kind of got sick, so have to do this online. I apologize for that. I will email the board report to you guys if Carlos haven't done that before he left. Let's start with legislative update. Let's see. Okay. First of all, I don't know if Carlo mentioned this. This is a topic that might come up in the past. I know a lot of people have their EBT funds stolen before. That STEP benefit, and that has been a huge issue. Congressman Goldman has introduced the Enhanced Cybersecurity for SNAP Act, which is legislation to strengthen the security protection for electronic benefit transfer, like EBT cards that people use. This act would require the U.S. government to provide funding to the state to allow them to issue a new card, new EBT card with a pin instead of just a regular magnetic strip, which is a lot more secure and a lot more difficult for skimmer to steal funds from those EBT cards. Second, Representative Goldman, along with Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, has introduced legislation to designate the pride flag as a congressional authorized flag, which will enable it to allow it to fly in any national park, such as the Stonewall National Monument that is in New York City. Representative Goldman also, along with Senator Cory Booker, introduced the Supreme Court Investigation Act, which is legislation designed to increase transparency and accountability of the United States Supreme Court. This bill would establish the Office of Ethics Counsel and an Office of Investigative Counsel within the court to advise justice on ethical matters and investigate potential violations. Representative Goldman stated that the nation's highest court should be held to the same ethical standards as all federal judges in the country.
Maybe you could wrap up quickly if you have just a couple other things.
Okay, yeah. Let's end with some good news. The Congressman Goldman has able to secure a $357,000 federal grant for the BMCC, the Borough Manhattan Community College, which this money will go towards expand their program that would help those people who have been incarcerated in the past, to allow them to pursue higher education and to help them like go to classes and help them graduate from college. Additionally, Congressman Goldman also secured a $250,000 federal grant for Avenue of Justice to expand their program that help young people to avoid incarceration and to build a pathway to stable employment. Thank you. If anyone have any questions.
Great. Okay, we have one question in the room from Lois Rakoff. Lois? Thanks, Rich.
Regarding the EBT cards, are you still saying that they're going to be swiped? I thought they were going to be tapped.
I know New York State has also introduced legislation, basically enhanced security. While it is more difficult for this new card with enhanced security to be stolen, it is not. I mean, nothing is impossible. Again, it comes a lot of times. It will not be stolen the same way as they have in the past. With a magnetic strip, basically what happened is just that if you use a magnetic strip card at a compromised location, what happens basically they store your information and then they will steal it at like the beginning of the month because they have your information and they know when the money go into your account and then they wait for the basically at the moment that the money released to people's accounts, they immediately store it. That's what happened to the EBT card with magnetic strip. That is how the scheme for those operate. Now with the security pin, the scam will not be able to steal your funds the same way as they have in the past. However, it is still possible for example, you use it at a location where you believe they're charging you $5, but in effect they charge you $500. That is still possible. That's different from how it's stolen in the past. This way, just make with the enhanced security, or it prevents people from stealing it like before the month, like as the money hit your account. I'm sorry. That's basically the best I can explain. It's a lot more difficult for it to be stolen, but not impossible.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments for Wesley from Congressman Dan Goldman's office? From board members in the room or on Zoom? Thank you so much, Wesley. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
And all right, thanks. So if there are any other representatives, I know that Borough President Hoylman Siegel is en route, so we're going to continue through our agenda and then we will go to him when he arrives. So next, we have the chair's report. So let me just go with that. All right. Great. So it is Madness on Mercer in CB2, March Madness, that is. Congratulations. We're here at NYU, so we definitely have to commemorate this. And thank you, Dorothy, for being here and the rest of your team. But I want to congratulate the NYU women's basketball team for their 91 consecutive wins. They are on their third trip in a row to the NCAA Division III Women's Final Four. They are undefeated at the Paulson Center. I recommend, they are now playing out of state for the championship, Final Four, and hopefully the championship for their third year in a row. They won the past 2 years. That's what happens when you're undefeated. So they're playing tonight. I literally think tip-off is like right now. And they're playing undefeated Sacramento. Former Chair David Gruber and I attended we saw their 90th win last Friday to cheer them on. So, and then the winner of tonight's game will go on to the national championship. So go Violets, since we are here on the NYU campus. Yay. I want to thank Councilmember Epstein and Borough President Hoylman Siegel for their support of our position on 27 East 4th Street, which is next to the Merchants House, at the Landmarks Preservation Commission meeting this past week. And things are also heating up on 14th Street. This is the place to be, you guys. Everything happening here. The public planning process for the 14th Street for what is being called the 14th Street Plan, Keeping People Moving and Business Booming. So points to anyone who can remember that next month. Keeping people moving and business booming kicks off this month. The local stakeholder working group convened earlier this week with DOT, the meatpacking bid, and Union Square partnership. So I was on that. So was our traffic and transportation chair and vice chair. And then from their other roles on other bid boards that I've mentioned, both representing CB2 on the bid and being a member, Donna Raftery is as a resident board member of the meatpacking bid. She was on that call, and Frederica Siegel is the CB2 rep for the meatpacking bid, and she was on that working group as well. DOT will be coming to individual community boards to present specific portions as part of the usual review process. So they will be coming to us formally to present. The local working group is really there to kind of the outreach strategy. So part of that, I want to make sure that everyone here invite everyone to attend the first public workshop for the 14th Street Plan to keep people moving and business booming. This is how I'm going to remember it. It's next Wednesday, March 25th. Is someone's phone going off? Next Wednesday, March 25th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Pratt on 14th Street. That's between 6th and 7th. It's on the second floor. You can drop in any time. It's a drop-in public workshop. So you can drop in any time between 4 to 7 p.m. That day. We'll send something out. It should already be in the newsletter. I believe it was in there last week. And that's an opportunity for the public to give their feedback on existing conditions on 14th Street, share project goals with the community. It's an open house format, science fair boards, etc. Probably stickers and Post-its. So there's that. Show Me the Data, NYC OTI, the Office of Technology and Innovation is kicking off Open Data Week this weekend. There's some great sessions, and I highly encourage anyone who is curious, interested, to attend those. There's some such as Maples, Oaks, and more. The NYC Tree Map as a stewardship tool. There's another one on NYC Open Data, a guided review of initiatives to improve bus speeds in New York City. And that will be presented by someone from the Independent Budget Office. So there's lots of exciting stuff to do with open data. If you're interested in digging into our data, please come see me. There is, I can only run so many regressions on my own. I'm really looking for someone who loves R or Python or knows that or wants to vibe code to help us go through some data. So I would love, come see me afterwards. Lastly, the work of the board continues to build momentum as 2027 is shaping up to be the year of big ULURPs for us, big once-in-a-generation ULURPs. So we have a lots ahead of us, and I know that each of the chairs, committee chairs, will get into their reports tonight as some of that is in progress and kicking off. Since we last met, I want to also recognize we've had one resignation since we last met in February. Monica Desai-Weiss, who joined in May 2025. You may not have seen her. Maybe you didn't meet her because she was on maternity leave from September to December. And so she's leaving to spend more time with her family. And we look forward to welcoming her back to the board at a later date. That puts us at 7 vacancies. We also have 2 new public members who joined this month, Kate Bostic on SLA 1 and Laura Veldwies on SLA 2. And I want to thank Frederica and Donna for identifying such strong candidates, and I look forward to their contributions to the board and to the SLA committees. And that is my report for the month. Yeah.
Hi there. I just wonder if you had anything to report about the working group on Schools Committee and Human Services.
Yeah, thanks so much for asking. So the Education and Human Services Committee, as I mentioned at the January meeting, March 1 was that transition date for the new leader of that group. And since we've had some changes happen, we've then gone into kind of a 60-day period. However, we are in part of that process is having that the New York Peace Institute, the conflict resolution workshop. So we can't move forward until we have that workshop that I mentioned at executive committee and I mentioned last month.
And do you have any more information on when that workshop will happen?
So we are negotiating with the Peace Institute. I actually went over that on Tuesday with the executive committee. So more to come on that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our district manager, Mark Diller.
Not used to having to bring this down. Hi. Once again, our thanks to John, who is with us again this month. His absence last month. Connor, don't go anywhere. His absence last month proved his worth this month. So thank you, John. And thank you to Dorothy, as well as to Valentine and Arlene. It is just terrific to have this partnership. We have everybody to thank for that, but it really makes this work in the time that we're allotted. Most of my report is about the election. So you may remember that nominations were completed last month. There is one candidate for each office, which means that it is theoretically an uncontested election, but we still must, per the bylaws, conduct the election. For review, the candidates are for chair, Valerie De La Rosa, for first vice chair, Eugene Yu, for second vice chair, Donna Raftery, for treasurer, Anthony Wong, for secretary, Emma Smith, and assistant secretary, DJ Jane. There is a ballot, and we tested the online ballot last month. I got about 35 responses, which means that I think that's a successful test. By the way, your favorite locks comes from Russ and Daughters, and your favorite Winter Olympics contest is figure skating. And so, like we did last year, we're encouraging as many of you as possible to please vote using the online ballot, even though almost all of you are in the room here. So there is a paper ballot, and on the back is a QR code, and you can access the ballot that way. I will also be sending the, if you're in this room, then you answer when Emma calls. Let me back up. So in order to be eligible to vote, you must answer yes at the next roll call. Those online who answer yes, I will email the ballot. I'll also email it to all of you, but the QR code may be easier to use because it's easier for your phone. But whichever way you do it, if you do it electronically, then the tally committee will have an easier job of confirming the votes. And it isn't, it is possible to lose an uncontested election, I know, because because you have to get it a majority, not the right. Okay, so that's that. Oh, and then just to pause there. So in order to make sure I'm sending the ballot only to those people who are eligible to receive the ballot, I'm going to need a minute or two with the secretary to confirm that my list and her list of who's eligible coincides. So please bear with us as we do that. Another note is that you cannot vote early. Now, you don't have the ballot yet, so it's going to be hard to do that. But there will be a window in which you have to vote. So please don't vote until all the speeches are done so that we can... Hi, come on in. So once the virtual ballot box is open, the tally committee, our bylaws prescribe that the borough president's representative, Andrew Chang, is one of the tally committee. Another elected representative is on the tally committee, and Connor Allerton from Council Member Christopher Marte's office has graciously agreed to join the team, and a CB2 committee chair. And this year I didn't need to bribe or twist arms. Thank you, Mar Fitzgerald, for agreeing to participate. We will populate that spreadsheet. The tally committee will gather around it, confirm the results, and then we'll of course announce them later on. The bylaws don't actually specify how long the ballot box needs to stay open. So I'm guessing a half an hour is enough, but I'm willing to take direction. Let's see. Oh, there is an opportunity to vote by telephone. Mostly this would be for people online. There is one person already who has signed up for that. If someone needs to be able to vote by telephone, please see me before the ballot box opens. We did the test. Okay. Before he gets here, I want to say a quick word of thanks to the entirety of the new administration at the Manhattan Borough President's Office. The support that the district managers in Manhattan have been getting is outstanding. They created something called drop-in, which is sort of like office hours for district managers. It's incredibly well attended. My colleagues go because it's worth it. They have been creating responsive borough service cabinets, and in a about to be contentious meeting with the about the identifying information law. I am apparently your agency priority, privacy officer, and thank you, for the person who knows this stuff. Maybe we should make you the officer. It was about to get contentious because they're telling us that we have to have our own policy. And I was the guy who put up my hand and said 59 different policies from 59 community boards doesn't sound like a good idea to me. So the general counsel from the borough president's office, who I didn't even know was on the call, jumps in, is incredibly helpful, and there's a path forward. Anyway, it's great support. And sometimes this can be, just as you is a thankless job, sometimes this can be a thankless job with our colleagues in government. So and I go from there to the Office of Mass Engagement, which did away with the Community Affairs Unit. And that's a work in progress is what I'll say. I've been reporting on that, so I'll tell you, they don't have a Manhattan Borough Commissioner yet, for example. So it's a little tricky to figure out to whom we report. More on that as we go along. I've reported in the past about the Village Interagency Task Force. The leaders of that are still trying to revive it. Again, part of the problem was that was organized by the Community Affairs Unit, and there isn't one now. So those are among the things that we're challenging with. And then look to our e-blast, because the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce has a whole boatload of resources for small businesses, including something called Summer of Opportunity, which is trying to coach people on how to take advantage of the FIFA World Cup and the 250th anniversary. More on that another time. So that's my report, unless there are questions, including questions about the procedure for the election. I see hands.
Okay, so Cormac, and then can we get a microphone over to Keen?
Are there also offices of volume and density engagement?
For somebody who's been reading a book on quantum mechanics, you don't want to get me started.
I just wanted you to know, notice that Brad Holman, who was the chair, is head now of this borough president stuff.
So when I was chair of Community Board 7 in 2011, Brad was the chair of Community Board 2.
So I'm not surprised that they're giving better support to you
I
and
didn't
the
say
people.
better. I didn't say better. I just said outstanding.
Outstanding, yes.
We're not going to be comparing.
Outstanding. I mean,
His predecessor is still
what
in
I'm
office.
really saying is this entire community board gets credit for that.
We get credit for Brad? Boy, we're good.
Yes, we should. We should. We elected him.
Right on. Any other questions? I see Rocio. Can we move the,
Can
thank
we
you.
get Rocio?
Mark, you have given many thanks to many people, but I right now want to give you thanks for the great job you're doing. I
Do you have a
look,
seance with my late mother? Or does that?
I look at the time when you send the emails. So you and I keep very similar schedules, 1:30 in the morning, we're still up working. So for that, I want to thank you because you do a great job. And 7:19 in the morning again, you're back on it. So when do you sleep? That's my question to you.
It's highly overrated, but
Thank you.
You're very kind. Now the tough questions, right? All right, I guess there are no more questions. That's my report. Thanks.
Thanks. So now we are going to go to the we're going to go to business session. So that will be a roll call vote. This is the roll call vote that ensures that you can vote in the election.
Beautiful. Thanks, Valerie. From the top, Susanna Aaron, Keen Berger, Carter Booth, Katie Bordenaro, Amy Brenna, Rich Cacapolo, Nina Chen, Valerie De La Rosa,
Here.
Chris Dignas, Arturo Fernandez, Mar Fitzgerald, Stella Fitzgerald, Cormac Flynn, David Gruber.
Present.
Thanks, David. Gotcha. Susan Kent, Ryder Kessler, Janine Kiley, Janet Liff, Benjamin Listman, Ed Ma.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Ed. Gotcha, Ed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul McDade,
点名了，
Brian Pape,
你什么
Donna
好的，你
Raftery,
不能会弄的，
Lois
弄不然
Rakoff,
听得见。
Bo Riccobono, Sean Ryan, Rocio Sands, Shirley Secunda,
我们现在已经没有那个，
Eddie Siegel. Have you joined online?
看这个没有，不是这个弄个，
Frederica Siegel, Emma Smith here, Dr. Shirley Smith, Chenault Spence. I don't think I've seen him. Okay. Sean Sweeney. Thanks, Sean. Anthony Wong. Great. Is there anyone whose name I didn't call who snuck in? Okay. Thank you all.
All right, so before we get to we're going to give them just a minute, the secretary and the district manager, to consolidate that list of who said they were present so that they can receive the ballot electronically. And while they do that, why don't we go forward with if any of the candidates have remarks they would like to make. Since these are uncontested, each candidate for each office will have 2 minutes. And so if I could have someone who's, okay, thanks, and then I'll do you. So we'll start with the assistant secretary who is not present, if that's correct, which is DJ Jane, is running uncontested for the secretary role, but is not here to give a statement. I'm not going to comment on whether or not statements were received via email because I don't have that email in front of me. Okay, so then next we'll go to, well, I'll wait on the secretary because that candidate is busy. So let's go to Anthony Wong. Would you like to say any remarks? Okay, thank you for yielding your time. Then next for second vice chair, we'll go to our candidate for secretary in just a moment, as she is currently serving as secretary and is conferring with that. We'll give her just a minute. So we'll go to the second vice chair candidate, Donna Raftery. If you have anything you'd like to say.
I'll just make
2 minutes.
a brief statement. You know, I learned about the community board 20 years ago when the meatpacking district where I live was undergoing all its changes. I had no idea about the community board. And that's how I got involved. I wasn't on the community board, but I got involved as a resident. And it was extremely helpful to solve problems, work with businesses in the area, and try to get the traffic and noise issues we were having then under control. And then I joined the community board, and the same thing, you know, I've seen this happen both in my district. We've got the Gansevoort Peninsula that this board has been able to, you know, weigh in on. We have what's going on 14th Street, which will provide people an opportunity to weigh in on things. We have the Western Gateway that's happened. Those are just the things in my neighborhood, and we have Gansevoort Square that will be coming up that we all hopefully are able to impact that. And I just, especially for the new board members, I just really want to say it's a great opportunity to really we as a large community know our local area best, and it's a great opportunity to just get involved and raise those issues up so the elected officials that are doing the important work have our feedback, get our comments and everything else. So I'm happy to be vice chair. I humbly asked for your vote to do this so I can help the other officers, help the office, and just help all of you to get our work done. And that's it.
Thank you, Donna. We have one candidate for secretary. Emma Smith, would you like to say a few things?
Yeah, I'll be quick, but thank you, I will. Just want to thank you all for the opportunity to serve you over the last couple years. I've learned a lot in this role. I've learned a lot about all of you, which has been really, really a joy. I am working always to make our processes better. I hope that I present the kind of front that you feel like you can give me feedback and we can continue to make things easier and smoother. But yeah, I think this work is really important, and I think it's guided a lot of my thinking about kind of broader issues over the last few years, and I really appreciate all of your pieces of expertise. I think it's really remarkable to have so many perspectives and walks of life in a room together. So that's all, but thanks for considering me, and hope to serve you next year too.
Thank you, Emma. We have one candidate for first vice chair, Eugene Yu. He's not here this evening. Both Eugene and DJ are both absent with notification, just so that's on the record here in this portion. And so we have one candidate for chair. That is myself. That's a little weird to be saying. So I will quickly say my remarks and start my timer. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am honored and humbled to be before you once again as a candidate for the chair of Community Board 2. This past year has asked a lot of us, and we've worked through and are still working through complex issues, strong opinions, and moments where we don't always agree. But that's part of what it means to take this role seriously. As chair, it's been my responsibility, and I hope that with your support this evening, that it will continue to be my responsibility to ensure that this board functions consistently, fairly, and in a way that respects all 43 of us, well, 44, because we have 6 vacancies, and then as Brian had announced last month, so there's 44 of us appointed right now, and the public that we serve. That means maintaining clear processes, setting expectations, and making sure that how we operate is transparent and reliable. And I know that I have things to work on. While we won't always agree, and we shouldn't, but we should always be able to rely on the structure of this board's governance, good governance. I really stand behind good governance to carry us through those disagreements. The work ahead of us makes that even more important. It's no secret that in 2027, half of this board will term out. To say that's a significant transition is an understatement, and it requires us to continue being thoughtful about the kind of board that we're building. My focus is on strengthening this board so that it is organized, fair, and welcoming to new members and existing members and the public, while continuing to reflect the depth of experience that exists in this room. And just as importantly, ensuring that every member has the opportunity to contribute meaningfully within a structure that works and is efficient for us and the public and our agency partners. This role is not about any one person. It's about making sure that this board works now and for what's ahead. I would be honored and humbled to continue serving as your chair. Thank you. So with that, Mark, what do we need to do for the electronic ballot? Okay. I don't know.
Okay, anybody need a pen?
So there are 2 ways to vote. The preferred way to vote is to turn that ballot around to the QR code and scan it with your phone or electronic device that can scan that to vote online. So that is all tallied.
So to answer the chair's question, the ballot has been sent electronically to everybody that the secretary and I confirmed are eligible. There's also, for those in the room, there's a QR code in the back and a fill-in traditionally in the front of the green paper. By the way, green this year, it was gold last year.
Thanks. I don't go by Val, but thanks. Yeah, if we could maybe not have the camera on my laptop either, it's a little weird. Thank you, Amy. I do appreciate that. I can't, it's a very odd angle that the camera is in.
Got the whole room there. How's that? Okay.
Well, I have my privacy screen up now, so look away. Well, I'm assuming people are voting or they're tallying. Okay, we'll keep going. Is everyone done voting? I assume people were still voting or. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you for that. It's the first time I've run the election. I didn't run it last year. All right, so the election of officers is ongoing. We're in business session, so approval of the February full board minutes. I understand there are some corrections. I also have one correction myself. So Emma, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I think that they are now represented. Sorry, that feels really loud. I think that they're now represented in all digital versions that have gone out. But a version that went out previously was missing just the folks who were late to the last meeting.
Okay.
And then there were two like kind of typos in the SLA votes Essentially, it looked like it quoted from committee votes instead of the unanimous votes that we had. So those are the changes. And it was SLA 1, Resolution 12, and SLA 2, Resolution 14.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Not at all.
I also
And I
have
apologize for
one-
not catching them earlier.
Great. So I also have one change under the board, resignations. There's 2 bullet points that are basically the same thing. The first and third one it's on page 8.
Okay.
And it's just says 2 people resigned, and then it says 3 people resigned. So if we could just consolidate that to the
Yeah.
3 names in one line.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you
That's
so
the-
much. All right, so is there a motion to adopt? Sorry, was that confusing? Okay, okay, great. So we have a Susan, and then do we have a second?
Second.
Great, so Donna with the second. So the amended February full board minutes are amended. If you have a conversation, if you could take it outside, it is carrying on to the Zoom. So next we will go to the reports from standing committees. So we have Parks and Waterfront, Rich Capopolo.
Okay.
Hi, all right, wow, there you go, hi.
We met in this month, and we had 2 resolutions. And I'll read the therefore be it resolved clauses. Yes, thank you. More context is are in the notes. Please read the notes. There were 2. The first resolution, both votes were unanimous. The first resolution regarded a request for support on resurfacing of both dog runs in Washington Square Park. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 2 Manhattan approves the renovation of the existing dog runs in Washington Square Park as described, wherein synthetic turf will cover the existing gravel. And 2, the use of synthetic turf that does not feature rubber pellets is critical because there's debate over the health risks of such surfacing products that do. That was 1, and that was unanimous. Second one had to do with the creation of a plaza that is next to Spring Street Park, and that will involve the demapping of a block of Little 6th Avenue, which is a spur-off avenue, the Americas, between Broome and Dominic and Spring. This is the block between Dominic and Spring. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 2 Manhattan applauds the Hudson River Park Business Improvement District. I'm sorry, it's not Hudson Square bid, Hudson Square, I'll correct that, Business Improvement District, and the Department of Transportation for working to create new open space in our community. And thanks Governor Kathy Hochul for supporting such initiatives through the Department of Transportation Plaza program, as long as 1, commercial programming on the plaza is limited and approvals of these events go through CB2 Manhattan. 2, farmers markets are favored over carts when considering temporary food options. 3, the bid looks to engage the local schools in programming and artistic installation opportunities. 4, the bid maintains rigorous trash and rat mitigation efforts. 5, the design prioritizes safety, especially overnight, through lighting, clear sight lines, and other features. 6, any stores or features located on this block, as well as any sublease concessions, will preserve free public access to the full plaza space. And 7, that the bid works with DOT and other stakeholders to obtain approval of a new legal pedestrian crossing of Spring Street at the top of Little 6th Avenue, aligned with existing pedestrian desire lines, and encourages review of the planned curb extension and the adjacent roadway segment on the south side of Spring Street between Little 6th Avenue and 6th Avenue to ensure the design both improves pedestrian safety and prevents unsafe vehicle passing or other unpredictable movements near the crossing. And that was unanimous as well.
Great, do we want to call any of these out separately? I do have one. You want to call one out, Lois? If we could get a microphone?
I think it's still proposal, I think, number 1 about the resurfacing of the dog run to synthetic turf. Is
Okay,
that
so
part of it?
So that would be the first resolution. So we'll just call these out each separately. Great, thank you, Rich. So we'll start out with the, and I have one correct. So we'll go with this one and then we'll go to the next one. So we'll vote on this one and go to the next one. So, Lois, did you want to discuss the first
The
resolution?
point that synthetic turf causes abrasion, and I know that the mounds have it, and children get abrasions among other things, and I feel that the dog pads of the dog's feet will have abrasions. And I do understand about dogs getting dirty, but that's part of the fun of being in the dog run and rolling around. So that's just my comment. There you go.
Nina, can we get a microphone? Thanks.
I have a dog and I think letting them running on the gravel is much worse for their feet compared to the synthetic. So I support the resurfacing effort. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else on the first Parks resolution? Is there any unwillingness to vote on the first Parks resolution? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, I haven't called for that yet. So any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, recusals? All right, that passes. Thank you. We'll go to the second resolution, supporting the creation of a plaza from demapped block of Little Sixth Avenue from Spring Street to Dominic Street. It's also known as Hudson Square Plaza. Is there any comment, question, discussion? I have one change, proposed change would be on, and the therefore be it resolved before number 1 to change it from the DOT Plaza program to the Empire State New York Forward program.
That's fine. Yes,
Okay,
please.
that's where the money for that plaza came from. It was one of the projects awarded as part of the Hudson Square New York Forward grant. Susanna, could you get a microphone to could we get a microphone to Susanna? Thank you.
Just want to make sure you heard about the typo also at the beginning of that. It's not the Hudson River Park bid, it's the Hudson Square bid. We just want to make sure that that typo gets.
Where is that?
Therefore be it resolved, Community Board to Manhattan applauds the Hudson, scratch the word river, scratch the word park and put the word square.
Brian,
the
you guys
Hudson
got that?
Square.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, so as amended, if there's no objection, we'll take those both, unless this body would like to vote on those 2 items separately and then vote on the resolution. I'm open to that. Huh? It's one resolution. I know, but there's been 2 changes. Well, 1 typo and then 1 was a correction. So if there's any objection to accepting the resolution as amended, please let it be known now. We can address it. If not, if there's no unwillingness to vote, all those in favor of a resolution supporting the creation of Hudson Square Plaza, the plaza being demapped block of Little Sixth Avenue. Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? I asked for opposed, didn't I? Anyone opposed? Okay, just double checking. All right, that passes. Thank you, Rich. Next, we will go to street activities and resiliency. Since the chair and the vice chair from that committee are absent, Ryder Kessler will give that report. Just as a reminder, Ryder, just the therefore be it resolved, please.
Absolutely. We had 11 applications. One was for pop-up mob 45G for Oloplex. That was a denial. And we also resolved that SAPO should continue to take note of 45 Grand as a problematic location and should not approve events held there due to the inability to maintain a pedestrian path. All of these were unanimous. Number 2 was Planet Oat, hot versus iced, and that was an approval. Number 3 was NB Lafayette for New Balance, and that was an approval, provided that the applicant improved their line management plan. 4 was K-pop Demon Hunters, and that was a denial because they were no shows. 5 and 6 were for ZocDoc. They also did not appear and were denials. 7 was for Way, an installation in Gansware Plaza. This was a denial due to previous bad acts by this applicant. Number 8 was Houston on Houston, which was an approval. 9 was Malbon and Nick's Block Party, and that was an approval. 10 was Litch Productions Retail Pop-Up, which was an approval. 11 was a Knicks Playoff Palooza no-show denial. And then we had 11 through 27 FYI renewals, all supported unanimously.
Great, thank you. All right, so we have items 1 through 11, and then FY renewals 12 through 27 to vote on. Are there any of the 11 that we would like to call out? Katie? Okay, but if we could get a microphone to Katie? Thank you.
I just have a question about 14. Like, should I hold
Okay,
that?
so let's call out 14, and then is there any others that people want to call out to discuss? Otherwise, we'll vote on the rest of them in an omnibus unless there's any objection to that, and then we'll go to number 14. Okay, so 1 through 12, and then 1 through 13, which includes FYI renewals, and then 15 through 27. All those, any unwillingness to vote on those? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Okay,
Okay,
Donna?
so I'm a voting member of the meatpacking bid, so I am recusing from 6, 7, 12, 25.
6, 7, 12, 25.
Got it.
Thank you. So number 14, Katie?
I just noticed this right now, but Ryder, does the committee know what the Leroy Street Flourishing Society is, which is closing Leroy between Greenwich and Hudson Street? I've never heard of this group in my life.
The committee may know. I don't know. I can ask Will and Erica if they know. It didn't come up in the meeting, but they always are very knowledgeable about everything and raise things when when there's something to be discussed. So I assume that it's known, but I don't know.
Thank you. I'll start by Googling it.
Okay. So really quickly on number 14, if there's no unwillingness to vote on number 14, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Thank you. Next, we will go to traffic and transportation.
We had 3 resolutions. The first one is calling for a street redesign on West Third and Bleecker Streets between LaGuardia Place and Mercer Street to enhance safety, access, and functionality without reliance on routine traffic enforcement. I will read the highlights of the therefore be it resolves, if that's okay with you, Valerie, or I can go through all of them, but it's pretty detailed. Therefore be it resolved, Manhattan Community Board 2 strongly recommends that the New York City Department of Transportation implement the following improvements to West Third and Bleecker Streets between LaGuardia Place and Mercer Street to improve safety for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. 1, reconfigure the street space on the south side of the street. Basically, we want to get rid of the extended sidewalk, move the bike lane to double size the bike lane and move it next to the curb, and use the extra space for delivery trucks, delivery bikes, traditional bike racks, and city bike racks. And there's a graphic there. Number 2, adjust parking in the floating parking lane on West 3rd Street. Right now, basically eliminate the floating parking spaces that create visibility problems in Washington Square as you enter Washington Square Village 1 and 2. Number 3, add metered parking for commercial and possibly some for residential use on the north side of West 3rd Street. Number 4, study additional traffic calming and safety enhancements needed with the opening of the 750,000 square foot Paulson Center, including the installation of an additional speed bump near 2 Washington Square Village and new crosswalks on Bleecker Street at 3 Washington Square and 4 Washington Square Village. Be it further resolved, CB2 strongly recommends that NYC DOT expeditiously implement redesign improvements that only require painting and signage changes to ensure these critical safety changes do not need to wait for a street repaving several years down the road. Resolution number 2, in support of applying Sammy's Law to Manhattan Community Board 2 district and the entire congestion pricing zone. Therefore, be it resolved that Manhattan Community Board 2 requests that NYC DOT begins the notice process to designate the entire CB2 district a slow zone at 20 miles per hour. I guess.
Everybody's a critic.
Are we expecting this?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, shall I keep going? Except for school streets, which will be set at 15 miles per hour, and provide CB2 with a timeline for implementation, including the time needed to update signal timing to create a green wave at 20 miles per hour. And 2, furthermore, to decrease driver confusion, designate the entire congestion pricing zone as a slow zone with 20 mile per hour speed limits. Resolution number 3, calling on Lyft City Bike to adhere to its contractual obligations and provide a 2-week membership credit to riders. Therefore, be it resolved, Manhattan CB2 calls on NYC DOT to ensure that Lyft, as the operator of City Bike, fully comply with its contractual obligations to maintain and service all bike share infrastructure, including timely and effective snow and ice removal. 2, demand that Lyft provide all active City Bike members with a minimum 2-week membership credit or extension to compensate for the period during which the system was substantially unusable. 3, rigorously, what? You can read along. 3, rigorously enforce all contractual performance standards, including imposing penalties where appropriate to ensure reliable service for riders. And 4, insist that Lyft develop and publicly disclose a clear winter operations plan, including timelines and accountability measures to prevent future system-wide service failures. That's it.
Thank you so much. Yes, with a little flavor. Is there any of these that people would like to call out? We can discuss them separately, or I guess we'll take them separately then. Cormac, if we could get a microphone, just because we'll have to repeat it online. Thanks, everyone.
I just wanted to thank Janine for the most dramatic committee report in my memory. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So let's take the first resolution. Is there any, or is there any that we want to call out separately, or are we? Okay, it's just 2. It's just 3, sorry, 3 resolutions. So, okay, so none we want to call out separately to discuss. Okay, is there any unwillingness to vote? Seeing none, we're going to take in an omnibus unless there's opposition from the body. Please make it known now. We're going to take resolutions 1 through 3 from traffic and transportation. The first one being the street redesign on West 3rd and Bleecker Street between LaGuardia Place and Mercer Street. Then we have the second one for support of applying Sammy's Law to Community District 2 and the entire congestion pricing zone. And resolution number 3, calling on Lyft/City Bike to adhere to its contractual obligations and provide a 2-week membership credit to riders. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Okay, those pass. Next, we are going to go to the Land Use Committee, and the Vice Chair will give the report.
Yes, only there that we don't have automatic like the Oscars. We just have helpful people. Thank you so much, Mark. Land use and housing, March 2026 report. Our first agenda item resulted in a report, no resolution, on 388 Hudson Street. We will have, it was a presentation by HPD, New York City Parks, and the development team, Camber. We will have more reports from them, so you will hear more about it, and there will be resolutions in the future. But I just want to say that there was public comment about the affordable housing component during the public session. And HPD is told us that there would be a regulatory agreement and that there would be language in the deed. And we will find out more about that as well. But HPD feels confident that they are going to be able to provide 100% permanent affordable housing, and we will press on that. So I wanted to respond to that comment. The second item that we discussed was affordable housing fast track methodology rule. And we have a resolution on that. And the therefore be it resolved is that CB2 continues to support the increased production of affordable housing in this community district and supports efforts to improve the process. But one, recommends the creation of an appeals process whereby errors in the calculation of the community district rankings can be corrected. Two, recommends that the Department of City Planning require that the data set include affordable housing units created in off-site buildings. Thank you to the voice from above. And number three, recommends that the Department of City Planning require that the data set include affordable housing units that developers pay into a fund not to build, even though the community district would welcome those units. The motion passed unanimously with no abstentions or recusals.
Great. So any discussion? Can we get a microphone to Keen, please?
What, explain this resolution not to build? What did you just say? I mean, I don't understand.
There's a rule that's being put forward and we have to submit comment by April 1st. Anyone, public or community boards, by April 1st. And it's a new, it's something called Affordable Housing Fast Track to make the process of getting affordable housing more quickly. But there's some calculations of, some provisions of the rules apply to the 12 bottom community districts in the city. And the way that that calculation is made, we have some questions about. And so most of the therefore be it resolved is about making sure that that calculation is accurate, comprehensive, and if there's a mistake in it, then it can be appealed. Right now, if there's a mistake, you can't appeal it. And it's possible that that might, you know, a mistake might cascade over a couple of cycles and not be the program wouldn't be as good as it could be. It's a little abstruse. I agree. Anybody else in the committee want to, or is there any, is that clear enough?
Okay, any further discussion?
I think
Janine,
Janine.
can we get a microphone to Janine?
So the three recommendations wouldn't take into account what you referenced in the whereases, such as CB2 approving a ULURP for Hudson Square, where the big building was supposed to be housing and now it's going to be office space, and also where CB2 approved a ULURP for 550 Washington, where we lost 998 units of housing. So
we wanted to point out those deficiencies in the whereases, but they really didn't go to the heart of this rule. So we decided to streamline the therefore be it resolved in that regard. Committee agrees.
Any further
Thank you,
discussion?
Janine, for pointing that out. It's important to say.
Any further discussion on the land use resolution? Okay, is there any unwillingness to vote on the land use resolution presented about the proposed City Planning Commission rules on the affordable housing fast track methodology. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you get that, Emma?
Yes, sorry, I gave him a thumbs up, but yes,
Okay,
gotcha.
great. Abstentions?
Keep your hands
So
just
your
for a
hands are
second, if you
raised
don't
for
mind.
abstentions, correct? Okay.
Thank you. All right, Ryder, I got you.
Chris, are you an abstention? Great.
And Chris, I've got you too.
Okay.
And any recusals? Great. So I'm going to pause our business session. We're going to go back to our public session. We have Borough President Hoylman Siegel here, who's run something here before, I heard. But he's here with us, so we're going to have him speak and give some remarks. Okay. Welcome back, Brad.
Good to see you. Great to be here. My colleague, my new colleague, Andrew Chang, who I know you know, but who has been amazing getting me up to speed in this new job. Just a few things to update you with, and I don't want to interrupt your meeting because, boy, I know what it's like to have a politician interrupt your meeting. Our community board applications are obviously closed, and now we're in the process of reviewing them. So we'll hopefully have those processed by the May 1st deadline. That's the goal. And we're working with some groups like Citizens Union, League of Women Voters, hopefully the Fund for the City of New York, and others to ensure that it's a fair and impartial process. So that we can build confidence in the community boards, which is one of my goals, because you're only as good as you are credible. Same with me, because our opinions are largely advisory, as you well know. Happy Women's History Month and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone observing. We had a couple of events in connection with that. Part of my job is to celebrate the diversity of Manhattan. And we had 300 attendees at the Studio Museum of Harlem for Black History Month. And wanted to thank everyone who came out for a rescheduled inauguration. I know Janine was there, thank you. And others. It was a really great turnout, given that it was rescheduled because of a snowstorm. But in addition to that, I was able to lay out some goals for the office, including our effort to put 100% of my, actually your tax dollars, into arts and culture. It'll be about $40 million toward art institutions, galleries, nonprofit, performance spaces, and the like, schools that need auditoriums, for example, and other such endeavors. The way we're doing it is we're calling it the Manhattan Multiplier, because the concept is that when we, let's say we give a museum or an institution $1 million, again, your tax dollars, then they will seek a match in order to qualify for that $1 million. And so at the end of the day, hopefully we take the $40 million that we have for arts and culture and convert that to 50, 60, 70 million dollars through private foundations, individuals, corporations, and the like. So that's exciting. Another effort that I announced at the inauguration regards Chinatown, and the fact that something like 1,500 New Yorkers go down to Center Street for jury service, or to try to get their jury service postponed every week. Exactly. So we're working with the state courts and some business groups to direct jurors to restaurants and small businesses in the neighborhood, which I know many of you know have been struggling since COVID. And we're calling that justice is served. And we hope to see a bump and some patronage among jurors who visit Chinatown. Couple of other items. We're hosting a Women's History Month event called Making Manhattan, New York City's women-owned businesses, at the Roosevelt House on March 27th. Going to feature 4 or 5 women who are entrepreneurs and hear about their struggles and their stories on how they made it in this very difficult business climate. We're reviewing the mayor's preliminary budget, and we've been working with the borough board, thank you, Valerie, on collating budget responses from all the community boards as part of our annual response to the mayor. Last week, I helped with the Hope Survey, which is the annual count of homeless New Yorkers. Very interesting and rather illuminating. You have to approach everyone that you see on the street. It starts like at midnight. And if you haven't done it before, you approach everyone who passes you on the street, no matter who they are, and business people, people going out to clubs, whatever, and ask them if they have a place to sleep for the night, which seems like a provocation on some level. But it's very important because that results hopefully in federal support for our homeless population. I've attended a number of Iftar and Eid celebrations. And speaking of Eid, we're having an event on Friday, March 27th, in conjunction with the New York Public Library at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library at 5 p.m. There's information out on the table. And wanted to mention that we are holding a monthly meeting with elected officials in our office. Another part of my responsibility is to help convene around big issues regarding ICE. And just today, I was over at Middle Church, where a young man was finally released from ICE detention. He had been there for 10 months. He's a high school sophomore. And was finally reunited with his family thanks to the efforts of Senator Schumer and the mayor and the governor and the New York Immigration Coalition and NILAG, which is an immigration legal assistance group. And it really brings to mind the fact that we have to fund these immigration attorneys' efforts so they can get more people out of detention who are there unjustly, as this young man was. And then finally, I'll just add this. I was able to stand with Mayor Mondani and our new New York City Department of Transportation Commissioner Flynn to announce the expansion of Sammy's Law at 1,300 school locations across the city. That was a bill that I actually passed in Albany with Assemblymember Rosenthal, which gives the city, and I think I've spoken about it here at CB2, gives the city home rule over lowering speed limits, particularly around school zones, which is what is happening here. So we'll be able to reduce those speed limits from 20 or 25 miles per hour to 15 miles per hour. We know that speed limits save lives, and there's probably no better place to lower speed limit than in a school zone. So I'm very proud of that effort. And just thank you. It's good to be home. It's good to be back at Community Board 2. Look forward to your applications. I know you're in the middle of the business, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to take.
Do we have any questions from board members for Borough President Hoylman Siegel? Lois, can we get a microphone to Lois? Can someone help? Thank you.
Regarding the Manhattan Multiplier Program,
yeah,
how would the Washington Square Music Festival, which is going into the 68th year in the park, apply? Are you going to send out information, or how do we do? How does the Washington Square Music Festival do this?
So the Manhattan Multiplier and the money that I have for those grants is capital money. That means physical plant, like Do you need a water, cooling system, or do you need, are you building?
Bleachers in the park?
What's that?
Bleachers in the park?
Bleachers in the park, probably not capital because it can't be
Moved.
movable.
Oh, yeah.
But you are eligible for cultural grants. I have a flyer out there in connection with that. Yep. There you are.
Okay.
And also I'll be able, hopefully, by the end of the budget season, which is in June, to award micro grants, like 5 or 10 grand to groups just like yours. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds
In the meantime, fill out one of these tourism grants.
Are there any other questions, remarks? Frederica,
Hi, Brad.
Frederica, and then Sean, I saw Dr. Smith and Arturo.
Hi.
Hi.
So we just passed a resolution about the Affordable Housing Fast Track Methodology Rule. And part of that involves your period of your 30 days review being concurrent with ours. And I just wondered how you felt about that.
Well, we're going to have to be in alignment, is basically what it boils down to. That is the law at the moment. But I haven't experienced it yet, so I really don't have an opinion on how it's going to work. But I guess we'll find out together.
Our concern was that we would not have enough time to talk to you,
Okay, well, let's,
given the possible schedules.
yeah,
That was.
I think that's a
alert
valid
to our
concern.
concern.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah, and just so it's clear for everyone, what's being referenced here is what was voted on as one of the charter revisions. So the 30-day concurrent, as you know very well, but just so everyone and anyone listening knows that that 30-day concurrent period is not what we were voting to approve. It's what was mandated by the charter revision, just so that's clear. But it's a great question of how are we going to work through that? So thank you for bringing that up,
We're
Frederica.
gonna figure it out together,
We
Frederica.
couldn't have a better partner, I'd have to say, going into that. So thank you.
Thank you for your did you do a resolution on Merchant's House?
We did a resolution on Merchant's House. Thank you for
Yeah.
your support.
Good.
I said that in my chair's report today, thanking you for your support, which came via Harvey, Councilmember Epstein mentioned that at LPC.
We did a
this
joint
week.
statement.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate that support. Sean, and then Dr. Smith, not forgetting, and Arturo,
Yeah, hi, Brad.
and then Katie.
Yeah, I'm talking about 375 Lafayette
Yeah.
Street, Great Jones, and you're showing up in person, which
Yeah.
is very unusual for borough president at Landmarks. And your testimony.
To set a tone that, I wanted to set the appropriate tone that I, don't just
We'll
passively.
see your
weigh
beneath
in.
down there, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay. So, you asserted approval of the building, but as the landmarks law says that a building can only be approved by the commission if it is appropriate for the district. And I don't think anyone could say that building, which has really nothing attractive about it, is appropriate for a 19th century historic district. You did mention the building further to the north at Esther Place, the 220-foot building, but that's artfully designed. I mean, even if this building at Lafayette was artfully designed, you can say, well, okay, maybe the greater policy or broader policy initiative would be worth it. But the landmarks law doesn't allow that. So if we can do it for here, doesn't that just nullify the landmarks laws throughout the city, that if which some people might consider a greater good, could nullify a law?
I don't think so, Sean. I think well, first of all, I took all of the community board's design suggestions in our testimony and referenced them, number one. Number two, I hear you on this size and scale of the building, but what was hard and that I found difficult to pass the kind of laugh test was that it's an empty parking lot, right? And so that was really the struggle that I had in looking at the proposal put forward by the applicant. But the suggestions that were made by CB2 in terms of the aesthetics of the building, I'm in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope it's not. I hope it's not the case that we can just walk away from landmarks law when it's an issue that, doesn't involve an empty parking lot in the middle of a housing crisis. Those are the factors that I weighed in basically approving the application with the suggestions that were made by the community board and Greenwich Village Society
I
and,
could have
and
a
other further.
follow-up.
Okay.
But wouldn't it, I believe that the number of apartments being offered now is the same as it was.
If we could
Let me
take,
put it better.
if we could take some of this offline,
Okay.
Sean, I mean, we're getting kind of a little into back and forth. So if there's anything different, we
Well,
would like
just
to
that the
move
building size could be reduced simply by reducing the size of the individual units. Why not recommend that?
Well, we looked at that and we disagreed with that analysis, to be candid. That reducing we didn't want to reduce the number of units, I guess is what
Right.
it boiled down to.
Right.
Yeah,
But the size
Great.
of the units.
Thank you.
I see.
All right, next, Dr. Smith. Can we get a microphone to Dr. Smith? And then can we get a microphone to Art?
So let's talk about it, Sean.
And then Rocio.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Oh, Katie, I forgot. Katie, then Rocio.
Thanks very much for coming. Those micro grants.
If you could hold
cultural
it.
Ones that you mentioned. The cultural grant.
Yeah.
The microcultural
Yeah.
grants. Well, you said they would be basically for not-for-profits.
Yes.
Will you consider faith-based places or just?
If the question is, will our micro grant program, which by the way, we haven't announced yet, we do have these cultural grants, but the question will be whether.
The micro is my question.
Yeah, micro is yours, which again, my staff's going to kill me because we haven't yet. Yeah, Andrew's shaking his head. We haven't yet announced those, and it depends on our budget, but it is a potential way for like the Washington Square Music Festival, in addition to our cultural tourism grants, to receive some additional funding. Whether a faith-based organization can receive them, if they are a 501c3, yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Great to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Arturo, then Katie, then Rocio.
Hey Brad, how's it going? Welcome back, and
Thank you.
congratulations. I think with you being borough president and a lot more responsibility going to that position through the charter revision commissions, I think we look forward to working with you on new avenues for decision making at the city level. I have a question for you on immigration, actually. So first of all, just thank you for all the work that you've done in the state legislature on this issue. I know you've been an advocate and a very strong advocate. I wrote a letter to your office on this matter, which is with the Hudson River Park Trust basically not really doing anything. And I know, again, you've said publicly that this should be canceled. 3 members of the board of directors are appointed by the borough's president office. So my question is, have you considered reappointing those board members to people that are more willing to take action on this?
We're looking at those appointments now, as well as all of our appointments. Some of them turn over immediately, some of them are in terms, but it's a fair point. That said, I understand the plight of the trust. They are exposing themselves to liabilities and litigation costs if they just tore up the contract, as I and Congressman Goldman and Assemblywoman Glick and Senator Kavanaugh have suggested. So they have to consider their fiduciary responsibility as trustees. I think it's worth tearing up the contract and making sure that ICE, whether it's 30 odd parking spaces, are not allowed to use that facility. And we're speaking to the trust. Is there another way that they can maybe convert whatever proceeds that they have earned from the parking spaces into a way to help our immigrant New Yorkers as an alternative to just walking away from the contract? They have said that they're not renewing the contract, which expires in June. But really, that decision to nullify the contract, I think it's made at the mayoral and gubernatorial level, not by the trust itself. It's a you know, organized authority through the city and the state.
Just one follow-up question and comment, which I appreciate your remarks on this, is that we know that people are getting picked up all over New York City, especially in the outer boroughs. And so even though it might be an inconvenience for the Hudson River Park Trust to basically cancel this contract, I think that pairs in what other families and people are going through.
Agreed. That's why I said they should tear it up.
Thank you.
Great. Katie?
I wouldn't say welcome back. I'd say welcome home, Brad.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's so great to be able to work with you again and more local issues, and appreciate all that you've done in Albany for us. But I just, not a question so much, an invitation, underlining that we look forward to working with you on the housing at 388 Hudson Street, which isn't
Yes.
finalized, but we're going to have more chances to shape. And we were going to appreciate your input, and also dramatically improving Gansevoort Square, because we have some ideas that we have generated here in this community board to make it a much better project. And we hope that we can, rely on you as always to
That's going
work
to
on
be
that.
that's going to be squarely in both of our inboxes soon. On 388 Hudson, I have actually some news. I spoke to the Parks Commissioner just yesterday, and I've been trying to organize a meeting with CB2 and Greenwich Village Society and others to speak about specifically the Tony D'Appolito Center, in addition to 388 Hudson, but specifically about that. And she, the commissioner, is willing to sit down with us. They're doing a survey, as I understand it, of whether what part of the building could be preserved for Tony D'Appolito Center. So she wants to come to this meeting with that information. So the meeting, and I meant to tell you this, Valerie, meeting's been delayed so we can get that information first. So just want you to know that I share the concern about that historic building and what it represents and what we can maintain there after the new commissioner has a review of the structure.
Great. Thanks so much, Brad.
Rocio? I don't think your mic's on. I don't think your mic's on.
So when you passed the 2019 HSCPA laws, I mentioned to you that this law was going to be very detrimental and have a negative impact in the city. Now with more than 50,000 vacant apartments during a housing shortage, do you see the consequences of the laws? Are you thinking, or can you help come up with some ideas to get these vacant apartments up online again so that people who need apartments can rent, and property owners who need to rent don't have to rent at $700 a month, because that's what the rents are, and the cost of the cost of the construction to renovate these apartments is way above what the increases in rent could be. Do you see the damage that was done?
Well, I stand by that vote, but everything that we do or did in the legislature is always subject to new data, new information, new assessments. That said, those rent protections are crucial. It's not just about building new housing, it's about protecting people who currently live in rent stabilized housing so they can stay there and hopefully grow old in New York City. But always open to new data and new perspectives on how we can get empty apartments online. I visited in Harlem a Mitchell-Lama called Riverbend that has maybe a half dozen empty apartments, duplexes that are just stunning, but are completely derelict and abandoned because the co-op structure doesn't provide the resources for those apartments to be refurbished. So I hear you on that. And then, we know that there are hundreds and hundreds of NYCHA apartments that are empty in our public housing and need to be renovated and upped on the market. So always open to that, and we'll continue to speak to you and others who feel the same.
Yeah, freezing the rent is not going to help.
All
Just
right.
take that back to our mayor, please.
All right. Any other questions for Borough President Hoylman Siegel? Cormac?
Congratulations again,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Borough President. In the earlier public official session, there were quite a number of questions and quite a talk about the need for better enforcement around outdoor dining regulation by DOT and the inadequacy of DOT's efforts on that behalf. I heard you earlier reference Mike Flynn, right? Is there anything that can be done to have DOT act more as a sort of regulatory enforcement agency than they, to be honest, based on his recent comments, he seems to be acting more as a champion advocate for the industry rather than a regulator.
I think you're right. I think they need, both the businesses and the public need clearer guidelines about outdoor dining. And the city council has a new legislative package to make outdoor dining, I guess, year round. I'm hopeful that we can, as a community, and I'd be interested to know what the community board would seek in that new package of bills. Maybe it's a different agency. Maybe DOT is not the agency to regulate outdoor dining. It seems a little curious to me that they are put in charge of the entirety of outdoor dining. Maybe it should be the Department of Health, as it is for indoor dining. But I'm open to those suggestions. I'm a supporter of outdoor dining, but I agree with you that both the business owners and the public need to understand the expectations for those sidewalk establishments. So it's a good area of inquiry, I would argue, for both me and the community boards, and maybe a good proposal to bring forward to the borough board. Because it's a widespread concern across all the boards, I gather at this point.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you, Borough President Hoylman Siegel. And again, as the chair, it's been so fantastic for the support of your entire office at Borough Board and for other things. And I just want to point out that I do have, I don't think you mentioned this, but this is, if you want to
Yes,
address
this is
before you
our
head
new,
out.
one of my most awesome responsibilities as borough president is to come up with a slogan for the 13 entrances into Manhattan. And so I was asked by DOT, do you want something on the sign that says welcome to Manhattan? And we came up with what Fanny Bryce, AKA Barbara Streisand, said in Funny Girl, hello gorgeous. So there you go. That's it.
Thank you again. Okay, with that, we're going to close the public session and we're going to go back to our business session. Thank you, Borough President. And thank you, Andrew. Next, we have cannabis licensing.
Hi, we had 2 renewal applications, and I will read the therefore be it resolved. This. Therefore be it resolved, Community Board 2 recommends approval of the renewal of the adult use retail dispensary license, number OCM Retail 24100 for Vanessa Yi Chan, Bloom Lee LLC, DBA Alta Dispensary at 52 Kenmare Street, and that pursuant to Section 76, Part 4 of the New York State Cannabis Law, the entirety of this recommendation be formally entered into the Office of Cannabis Management submission, the New York State Cannabis Control Board, and that the Cannabis Control Board take this recommendation into careful consideration in its determination to grant or deny the license. The other one is therefore be it resolved, Community Board 2 recommends the approval of the renewal of the conditional adult use retail dispensary license OCM card 2024-132 for Bouquet Sabat NC Accident Reports LLC, doing business as the Flowery Soho at 481 Broadway, and that pursuant to 76 Part 4 of the New York State Cannabis Law, the entirety of this recommendation be formally entered into the Office of Cannabis Management's submission to the New York State Cannabis Control Board, and that the Cannabis Control Board take this recommendation into careful consideration in its determination to grant or deny the renewal. Any questions? Thank you.
Great. Do we want to call any of these out? I know there are 1, 2. There's no wanting to call either one out separately for discussion. We will take them together. So we have resolution number 1 to approve the renewal of license for Vanessa Yi Chen Bloomley Lee, DBA Alta Dispensary at 52A Kenmare. And then we have resolution number 2, which we will take as part of an omnibus vote, resolution to approve the renewal of license for Bouquet Sabat NC Accident Reports LLC, DBA The Flowery Soho at 481 Broadway. If there's no unwillingness to vote, all those in favor for those 2 resolutions? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Thank you very much. Next, we're going to go to SLA 1.
Okay, SLA 1, we had 15 applications, 12 resolutions, and all votes were unanimous. Felix Green Soho LLC, doing business as Felix Roasting Company at 145 Green Street. This was a change in method of operation to extend the hours, deny unless, with stipulations being adhered to. Malafama LLC, doing business as Taqueria El Chato at 120 McDougal Street. It's the north storefront. This was a wine, beer, and cider for restaurant in a previously licensed location, deny unless with stipulations. Levanto LLC, doing business as Levanto at 149 Grand Street. This is a wine, beer, and cider for a restaurant, also previously unlicensed, deny unless with stipulations. Number 5, sorry, Lois, I address you. Number 5, Kim One Holding LLC 109 at 111 Mulberry Street. That's a wine, beer, and cider for a restaurant, deny unless with stipulations. Number 6, Rye New York City 1 LLC 285 Lafayette Street, wine, beer, and cider for tavern, previously unlicensed location, deny unless with stipulations. Woa Watts LLC at 40 Thompson Street, on premise for a tavern, previously unlicensed, deny unless with stipulations. The Industry Little Italy LLC at 197 Grand Street, wine, beer, cider for tavern, deny unless with stipulations. Counter Restaurant New York City LLC, formerly known as 341 West Broadway Restaurant LLC, doing business as Counter New York City at 341 West Broadway. This is an on-premise for a restaurant, deny unless with stipulations. IACS Corp. doing business as Old Fashioned Cafe, 110 Thompson Street. This is a change in method of operation and an alteration to add the roadway seating under the Dining Out NYC program, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Supernatural Wine Inc. and Supernatural Wines New York LLC, doing business as La Communière des Vins Supernatural, 247, 249 Center Street. It's a corporate change. It was a re-notification. Beyond Faux Corp. 2, doing business as Five Spice at 227 Mulberry Street. It's a corporate change, 9 less with STIPS. We got STIPS back. The appearance was waived on that. The appearance was waived on the Supernatural Wine also. And Melda Comedy LLC doing business as Greenwich Village Comedy Club, 99 McDougal Street, lower level. That was a corporate change. The appearance was waived, denying less with stipulations. And so items 4, 14, and 15 are layovers. And that's it for SLA 1.
Thank you, Donna. Are there any that people would like to call out? Otherwise, we'll take them in an omnibus vote. Is there any that anyone, are there any of 1 through 13 or 14 or 15 that anyone would like to call out to discuss? Otherwise, we will take them as an omnibus. Is there any unwillingness to vote? Okay, so we have for SLA 1, we have items 1 through 13, resolutions and 14 through 15.
1 through 3, 5 through 13, and then 14, 4, 14, and 15 are the layovers.
4 is a layover?
Yep. It's just
Okay,
thrown in the middle, but yeah,
okay, so,
because we heard it and they laid over.
so 4, 13, and 15.
4, 14, and 15 are layovers.
Okay, so 4, 14, and 15 are layovers.
1
1 through
3,
3, and then
5
5 through 13. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? All right, those pass. Thank you. SLA 2.
SLA 2, we had 16 applications, 11 resolutions, all decisions were unanimous. Arova LLC doing business as Arova, 668 Greenwich Street, wine beer cider for a tavern, previously unlicensed location, denying less with STIPS. Oshikiri Inc. doing business as Menkoi Sao at 7 Cornelia Street, wine beer cider for a restaurant, previously unlicensed, denying less with STIPS. The 14 Group LLC doing business as Caseco, 244 West 14th Street, on premise for a restaurant. This is a transfer, denying less with stipulations. Mitsuru and Reynolds, 4th Street LLC doing business as Mitsuru, 149 West 4th Street. This is an on premise for a restaurant. It's a class change from restaurant wine, denying less with stipulations. Gastronaut Restaurant LLC at 210 West 10th Street, on premise for restaurant. This was a deny, and we have been told that they're withdrawing their application at the Liquor Authority, but 6 is Penmanship LLC doing business as Jeffrey's Grocery, 172 Waverly Place. This is an alteration for the open street seating, denying less with stipulations. 7 Hotel Gansport Group LLC and WSA New York Manager LLC doing business as Gansport Hotel, Gansport Rooftop, 18 9th Avenue. This is an alteration to add the dining out NYC sidewalk seating, denying less with stipulations. Number 8, WSA Cafe LLC and WSA New York Manager LLC doing business as CNC Coffee and Cocktails at 18 9th Avenue. Alteration to add the dining out NYC sidewalk, denying less with stipulations. Number 9, Oleo Restaurants LLC doing business as Oleo Pew at 3 Greenwich Avenue. This was a reconsideration of their alteration application to add the dining at NYC sidewalk seating. That was a denying less with stipulations. Lamasan LLC doing business as Lamasan at 359 6th Avenue. This is an alteration to add sidewalk seating. It was a re-notification. We originally heard it in February 2025. The appearance was waived. That was denying less with stipulations. Airmail 546 Hudson Street doing business as Airmail at 546 Hudson Street. This was a corporate change. The appearance was waived, denying less with stipulations, and items 12 through 16 were layovers or withdrawals.
Great, thank you. Are there any resolutions 1 through 11 or the layovers, withdrawals, or non-appearances 12 through 16 that people would like to call out for discussion? Susanna? Is there one you'd like to
I
call
don't want to
out?
call out for discussion. I just want to call it out. I have to recuse myself from number 6.
Okay, so we will take that at that time of vote. Is there any of SLA 2 items that people would like to call out to discuss separately? Otherwise, we'll take them as an omnibus. Okay. So we have for SLA 2, items 1 through 11 and 12 through 16, layovers, withdrawals, or did not appear. There's no unwillingness to vote. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, you want to call out number 6? You had just said recusing. So did you want to call out number 6?
Recuse after
You
they
recused during the vote.
Okay, fine. I'm voting for all of them.
Okay, we're not taking the vote right now, but does anyone, I just want to make sure it's clear. If there's any of these 1 through 11 or 12 through 16 that you would like, we can call out for discussion, and then we'll vote on the rest, just trying to move through the business. Okay, but we'll take all votes. We will take all votes in just a moment. All right, so there's no unwillingness to vote. We have SLA 2, items 1 through 11 and 12 through 16. All those in favor? Opposed? Yes?
Isn't that the roll call?
No, we have landmarks. Okay, so I will re-ask one more time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Okay, Susanna, if you could say which one you'd like to recuse on
Number six,
and the reason
please.
why.
I think my husband is an investor.
Thank you. All right, so next we will go to the landmarks report. Brian Pape will give the report. If you could maybe get the microphone from Emma. And just a reminder, just the therefore be it resolves, please.
Yes, all right. For the Landmarks and Public Aesthetics Committee, at number 1739 Washington Street, Greenwich Village Historic District, application is to construct a rooftop addition and rear yard extension. Therefore, be it resolved that we approve the front facade restoration to the historic condition, the minimal rear extension, and the replacement greenhouse at the rear of that unit. B, approval of the cellar excavation with underpinning provided that all regulations concerning the excavation and underpinning are followed with care to ensure the integrity of the building and neighboring buildings. And C, denial of the rooftop addition or any other rooftop structure apart from the required stair bulkhead owing to the extreme visibility of the rooftop from a public thoroughfare. And that vote was unanimous. Number 2 is 60 Bank Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District. Application is restore the full facade, construct a rooftop addition, rebuild an existing rear yard extension with new window pattern, and excavate in the rear yard. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends that there be a review of the front facade windows to ensure that 4/4 rather than 2/2 is correct for the period of the building. And B, approval of the position of the areaway gate at the opposite side of the house from the stoop stairs, not form. C, denial the cornice unless it is at the top of the existing front wall or that the added courses of brick above the cornice are removed. And D, approval of the cellar excavation with underpinning provided that all regulations concerning excavation and underpinning are followed with care to ensure the integrity of the building and neighboring buildings. E, approval of the extension apart from the windows. And F, denial of the plate glass windows on the basement, parlor, and second floors, and that they are replaced with windows at the basement and parlor floors with designs like those approved by the commission in similar buildings, and that the third floor retain its existing original tripartite openings. And G, that the second and third floor windows are historic tripartite double hung wooden designs, and that vote was unanimous. And the third item is 34½ East 12th Street. The board position concerning building restoration. This is the police Athletic League building that was mentioned earlier this evening. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends A, that there be an immediate survey of the condition of the building and that any work necessary to prevent further deterioration of the building be undertaken right away, and that funding for the restoration of the building be upgraded from critical to emergency status. And B, that assurance is provided that the full restoration will proceed with an expedited schedule. And C, that Council Member Epstein urge the city to carry out the necessary repairs and enlist other council members to assist in this cause. And D, that the police department and other appropriate city agencies make responsible officials available for a public meeting with the CB2 Landmarks Committee for a full discussion of the building, and that was unanimous.
Great. So we have 3 resolutions on the floor from Landmarks. Do we want to call any of these out separately for discussion? Katie and Frederica, we could get a microphone, please. Thank you.
Can I ask a question without calling it out?
Sure.
Okay, it's about number 3.
I mean, that is going to a specific one, so we can, if we're ready to take a vote on any of them, we can do that and then go to number 3. So we'll call out number 3. That's kind of where that goes, because it then could lead into more discussion. So thank you for that. We'll call out number 3. Katie, would you like to call out number 1 or number 2?
Number 2.
Okay, great. So we'll just do them each separately then. So is there any discussion on resolution number 1 under landmarks? Any unwillingness to vote on resolution number 1? Seeing none, all those in favor for resolution number 1, 739 Washington Street? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Let's go to agenda item number 2, 60 Bank Street.
I just have a question about the G, therefore be it resolved. Is this the second and third floor front windows or rear windows? It's a little confusing because sometimes the windows are identified
this
with
case-
the back.
In this case, to clarify that, that is on the front facade.
So can we add that, is that proper to add that in since it caused confusion?
Be a good clarification, yes, that
Thank you.
the front facade would be added before second and third floor.
What's being added?
Letter G, it would read that the front facade, second and third floor windows are historic tripartite double hung wooden designs.
Okay. Rocio? Can we get a microphone to Rocio? Is this about number 2? Okay. If someone could
Microphone to
get a
Rocio.
microphone to Rocio, we can move the business session along.
A quick question, Brian, please. Can you tell me in number 2F, it says that they be replaced with windows at the basement and parlor floor with designs that are like those approved by the commission in similar buildings? Can you just tell me that? I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yes, this was an extraordinary example where the new design had these huge frameless sliding panels. You almost couldn't recognize what they were for. It was so enormous size of each pane of glass, like huge sliding doors. We have approved on rear elevations that the lower levels could have large areas of glass, but we ask that they be subdivided in such a way that it breaks down the character, the scale of that opening, even though it may be almost the entire wall in the back. And then on the referring to the third floor. That was also very large picture windows that we normally like to see that the donut wall, the donut area where all your neighbors can see, that the upper level windows be as close to the historic style windows as possible, even though maybe a little larger or more of them, but try to stay within the style that a lot of the upper floors have. That was what was said there.
Arturo? Is this on number 2?
Yeah, yes, just a small correction. Brian, I think that last one was for the rear facade, G. I think that was for the rear facade.
The last.
Yeah,
If you could use the microphone.
yeah, G, that clause was for the rear facade.
That, how can that be? We've already covered the rear facade in letter F.
I was looking at the designs, that's what I'm going off of, so. But that's my understanding of it.
Well, I'm quite certain it was,
I'll defer to you,
the
but-
front facade is almost totally restoring the historic character of the townhouse. But they were, the exact style of windows that were shown in the proposal were not quite the historic type. That's my recollection of the meeting.
Yeah, but I think we covered that in A.
Well, that was dealing with the division of the lights.
But that's
So,
fine, that was how I recalled, but I defer to you, that's fine.
You know, there was quite a bit of discussion that we felt that the 4/4 was more appropriate for the time. Anyway, okay, so it stands as it is.
So it stands as is with G saying that the second and third floor windows are historic tripartite. Is that correct?
That's my
So there's
statement about
nothing
that.
we're not putting front facade there. Is that correct? On G? We're going to leave as is, or I'm just trying to move this along. Okay, so clearly we're not ready to vote on this one, so let's move on to number 3 for discussion, and we'll come back to number 2. So number 3, we'll do that for discussion and we'll vote on that one. So 34.5 East 12th Street, the board position concerning a building restoration that is an individual landmark building. Frederica.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm not disputing the importance of the building or the importance of acting before the building needs to be torn down. But I see that we're calling this a board position, and I'm wondering how it made it onto your agenda, the Landmarks Committee. I wonder if there was any input other than village preservation. And I feel that if that's the case, that before we take a board position, we don't really know what agency it would go to. And I feel that this is a little premature, that it would be better to have a meeting with all the parties and then have a proper resolution to the proper agency.
So we actually heard from the facilities division of NYPD, who had said that this is that dollar amount came from them. that this is their number one facade restoration on their list for fiscal year 2027.
And how did it get onto the agenda? Was it prompted by Andrew Berman or by the NYPD?
Brian, would you like to answer that?
Well, there certainly was a lot of interest. I mean, the community and I believe there was a representative of the Block Association because it has been an eyesore for many, many years.
Sure.
I think that applying for the funds triggers a lot of attention. And so however they found out about the funds that have been applied for, then it came back to us saying, what are they going to do? And how are they going to handle this?
So what is the agency that will get your resolution?
It goes to many agencies and elected officials.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Any further discussion on resolution number 3? Is there any unwillingness to vote on landmarks resolution number 3? Seeing none, all those in favor for 34.5 East 12th Street? Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Great, that passes. We're going to go back to number 2. Is there any unwillingness to vote on number 2? And can you clear up that question?
Yes, after
is a
reviewing
roll.
the application, letter G stands as the rear, well, it was referring to the rear facade. So just as letter D was referring to the rear facade, and then that was a continuation that not only the existing top floor, but the addition of the penthouse showed another very large plate glass window. And so we made that stipulation that those 2 upper floors would be more historic.
So we will be voting on.
Stands as is.
So okay, stands as is printed and written. Okay, great. So this will be a roll call vote. So I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, Emma Smith. Thank you everyone for your patience. Thank you, Brian, for the report. Oh, Katie, on number 2?
Reference to a facade, is that
It
correct?
stands as is,
I just wanted to be
as
clear.
printed.
We're not adding anything because it follows letter F, which talks about the rear facade. So with that understanding, we're just leaving the language as it is, understanding it's a rear facade.
So this will be a
Thanks,
roll
Brian.
call vote for landmarks resolution number 2, since this is our last vote.
Thanks, Valerie. All right, folks. Susanna Aaron, Keen Berger, Carter Booth, Katie Bordenero, Amy Brenna, Rich Cacapolo, Nina Chen, Valerie De La Rosa,
Yes.
Chris Dignas, Arturo Fernandez, Mara Fitzgerald, Stella Fitzgerald, Cormac Flynn, David Gruber. I don't think. he's
拿掉啊，
online.
要不那个也拿掉， 看到过，
Susan
那
Kent,
拿掉，
Ryder Kessler, Janine Kiley,
弄掉，那个来，
Janet
哦，都来，
Janet, sorry. Oh, thank you. Benjamin Listman, Ed Ma,
yes,
thanks, Ed. Paul McDade, Brian Pape, Donna Raftery, Lois Rakoff, Bo Riccobono, Sean Ryan, Rocio Sands, Shirley Secunda, Frederica Siegel, Emma Smith, yes, Dr. Shirley Smith, Sean Sweeney, Anthony Wong, Great, thank you. It passes.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to, before we go to ask for any new business, I'm going to go turn it over to our district manager, Mark Diller, who will report on the election of officers.
I'm pleased to report that that all eligible voters did in fact cast a vote, and that all individuals have been elected to the post for which they ran. Poor abstain got no love at all, or next to no love at all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to serving with everyone, and DJ and Eugene, who are not here. Thank you. We have work to do. With that, is there any new business? Would anyone like to bring up anything in new business? Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn. Okay, Dr. Smith and Susan Kent. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned at 9:32 p.m. We could turn off the record.